Support Roland Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Over the weekend, the folks at Revolt had a summit that took place in Atlanta. On that particular panel, there was a host of people who were on there, moderated by Jeff Johnson, included Katrina Pearson and Candace Owens, two Trump supporters, as well as Killer Mike and T.I. as well, and Tamika Mallory. And it was quite interesting because, first of all, a lot of people on social media were talking about it this weekend, this whole, in terms of how everything panned out. And so I said, you know what? Let's chat about it. First off, though, I want to play you a portion of that conversation where things got a wee bit heated. And because what I want to deal with is the issue, do we really need to engage crazy black conservatives? Black conservatives who, frankly, have lost their minds and who really don't make any sense whatsoever. Because I know lots of black conservatives, but I know a lot of them with brains, unlike these two who were on the panel. You guys see my iPad right now? Okay, all right, y'all. So here's an excerpt of that summit over the weekend.
Different than the fear that Trump has created in poor whites. The fear that Trump has lifted in poor whites, that black people and poor urban people are their problem.
Right.
When did Trump ever say that? That's a fallacy. When did Trump ever say black people are the problem?
Make America great again. That's when he said it.
Guys,
but I'm not on the panel, so I want to make sure.
That was Ronald Reagan's slogan. Was that racist when Ronald Reagan had it as a slogan?
Yes, what time?
It was.
Yes, let me ask you.
So that
please
slogan
answer this.
is racist.
Please answer this. I have a question.
Wait.
Please just allow me just one outburst. Please. I have a question. When you say make America great again, which period are we talking about? The period when women couldn't vote? The period when we were hanging from trees?
I'll answer.
Or like the crack era? Which period in America are you trying to make America like again?
So I actually think that I would totally rock a hat right now that said make Black America great again. Because Black America, before,
we're talking about make America. That wasn't the question.
I am answering your question.
Which period was America great that we're trying to replicate? Which era was it? Tell me.
I think I'll answer your question.
I'm
ready to answer your question.
Which era was it?
What?
Which era was so great?
Here's the thing that you guys are forgetting. America was actually one of the slavery was all over the world. All over the world. America was. I'm not saying it's okay. So why are you saying oh?
Hey man.
America was one of the first countries.
I want to like you so bad. Because you're so smart. I want to like you so much.
I can't answer the question.
I want to hear you. I want to be able to hear them. I want to be able to hear them.
If I can't answer the question and you're just going to boo when I say slavery was all over the world, which is a fact, why are you booing a fact?
Because you're making light of...
No, I'm not.
You're making light of the enslavement of people that look like us. You can't make light of that. That ain't nothing you breeze over.
I haven't even finished the sentence. How am I making light of anything?
You started with some bullshit.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So let me share a few thoughts, okay? Do I believe in Black America we need to have real, honest, truthful conversations on these issues between Black conservatives and Black progressives and Black liberals and Black independents? Yes, I do. But we must have these conversations with real Black conservatives, with Black people who actually care about the Black community. I'll give you an example. On this show, I'm on TV One show, News One Now, Washington Watch. So going back to 2009, and actually my whole career, I have known a host of black conservatives. Alphonso Jackson, who was, of course, the HUD Secretary under President George W. Bush. Michael Williams, who served under Reagan and Bush as well, was the former Texas Education Commissioner. You have former Congressman J.C. Watt. You have Elroy Saylor, who was his chief of staff. You have Angela Saylor, his wife, who's the #2 at the Heritage Foundation. You have Kay Adams, Kay, of course, who is Kay Cole, who's over at the Heritage Foundation. I mean, I could go down the line. And let me just be real clear with y'all. Real black conservatives have no respect whatsoever for charlatans like Candace Owens and Katrina Pearson, because they know they're fraudulent. And see, the reality is those two, they actually won't come to places like this and have real debates. See, what they want is they want that show. What they want is they want the show to be on a stage with a Killer Mike or a T.I. in front of Diddy and Revolt, because, see, that's all they actually care about. They don't actually care about the black community. See, part of the problem here, and Killer Mike addressed it later, and I have some issues with him and the N-word and all of that, but I ain't gonna get into that. But part of the problem here is that when you hear people talk about, well, if you slamming Trump, that means you supporting Democrats. No, it means I'm slamming Trump. See, I have no respect for any black conservative who can't call out voter suppression. I have no respect for any black conservative who can't recognize racial gerrymandering. I have no respect when you have black conservatives who don't want to be honest about exactly what's going on. See, even if you support Trump and you make an actual argument as to why you support Trump, all right, okay, that's fine. But then when you're unwilling to actually explain that and how it somehow helps the black community, makes no sense to me. I mean, over the weekend, Mark Lamont Hill and others were back and forth with actor Isaiah Washington, who said he's voting for Donald 45 because of his policies. They simply asked what policies benefited black people. And then he's like, well, why are you calling me out on Twitter? You should call me directly. They're like, well, because you posted on Twitter, so we gonna ask you on Twitter. Kind of makes sense to me. See, what y'all need to understand, and again, I saw all this back and forth on social media. Roland, man, you got to talk about it. Man, you got to see this whole deal. Y'all, I've been to those sort of discussions before. And what they are designed, not for us, I dare say for Jeff and for Killer Mike and T.I. and Tamika Mallory, that panel wasn't about show and tell. It wasn't about entertainment. It wasn't about, oh, man, we had that thing going. No, what it actually was about was entertainment. Because, see, that's all they're interested in. They're not actually interested in doing things to improve black America. They want the show. That's what it's all about. And so those of us who do this for a living, we know that game. We know it's all about the show. I remember I was on CNN in 2008 or so. And that was a black pastor who was we were on together. And it was real interesting. We were talking about Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and some other stuff along those lines. And while I'm talking to you, I'm actually looking for it. And we got into it. And this black pastor was saying all kind of stuff. And, you know, he was just all hyped. Now, y'all, I knew it was fraudulent. I knew what he was doing. So you know what ended up happening? He then, in the green room, says, man, you know what? We need to get together and do this more because it's a whole lot of money out here. Did y'all hear what I said? It's a whole lot of money out here. See, you have a group of black folks on the conservative side, that's what it's about. Let me just be real clear with y'all. If I chose, with my skill set, with how I debate, with how I communicate, if I chose to be a black, self-hating, slamming black people, touting a conservative agenda, I can tell you right now, I probably will be worth about $20 to $40 million. Let me unpack that. I'll be worth that because That's what you really have going on here, folks. It's a game. And see, people like Katrina Pearson and people like Candace Owens have no interest in having real discussions with black people about actual policy because they would be exposed for their nonsense every single day. See, when you hear all the people right now talk about Trump and the First Step Act, okay, I'll give you an example. At best, it's about 7,000 people. Some say upwards of 20,000 people are going to be impacted by the First Step Act. Nobody has given me a racial breakdown, so all 7,000 to 20,000 are not African American. But let's say it's 60% of the 7,000. All right, not a problem. Okay, so what are we talking about? 4,100 people, maybe about 5,000 people. That's about it, right? You do realize that 90% of people who are in prison are on the state and local level. Now, when Donald Trump touts the First Step Act, when people like Candace Owens and Katrina Pearson tout the First Step Act, what they overlook, then they'll throw in, oh, look at black unemployment. Oh, look at what he's done for HBCUs. Here's what they won't say. They won't say how he wants to get rid of the Minority Supply Development Agency. They won't say how Jeff Sessions ordered federal prosecutors to forget the Eric Holder era rules and prosecute to the highest levels. They won't mention Trump reinstated private prisons on the federal level. They won't mention the Department of Justice said we don't want to have any consent decrees. They tried to get out of the one in Baltimore and out of the one in Chicago. They won't mention any of those things. They won't mention the fact that the Department of Justice has done nothing when it comes to enforcing the Voting Rights Act and really dealing with the whole issue of police misconduct all across this country. They won't mention the fact that under the Department of HUD, and in housing, health and human services, and in commerce, and in every federal agency, they're rolling back civil rights protections in all of those. So while people like Candace Owens and Katrina Pearson and supporters like that might mention one or two things, I'll over here list 10, 12 things that are detrimental to black folks. They won't address those things. What I need y'all to understand is, and a lot of y'all, and trust me, I've challenged Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens to debate anytime, anywhere. And in fact, Alveda King, I ran into her daughter, I think, in Atlanta at the Rolling Out Summit I was at, where she said she wants to put this thing together. I said, boo, they're not going to debate a brother like me. Because, see, they can't handle this level of heat. I ain't going to bring smoke. I'm going to bring heat, okay? What they want to do is they want the show. What a Candace wants to do is repeat the same 2 or 3 or 4 talking points. And you heard T.I. say, you know, I want to like you because you're smart. She actually is not smart. She's really not. Because, in fact, I've had black conservatives who have told me, she's called them and said, I don't know much about this policy stuff. Y'all need to know when you're getting played. Y'all need to know when somebody is trying to play the game and gaming you, and who they really gaming are those dumb white conservatives who keep throwing money at them, saying, that's it, we found our black woman. Because the reality is, and y'all, and I've seen this, white conservatives have no issue throwing money at black people who are going to say nasty things about black people and tell us get off the plantation and tired of sitting here being somebody's massa. We all know the game. And so if y'all enjoyed the conversation, that's great. If you were entertained by it all, that's great. Were there things in that conversation that are worth us talking about and exploring? Absolutely. But if we're going to do this, let's do it with people who are at the table, who are real, who are substantive, who know what the hell they're talking about, and who are not just trying to sit here and say stupid stuff because it's all about how can I say the craziest thing and keep getting those checks rolling in the same way Larry Elder has done, the same way Deneen Borelli has done, the same way Jesse Lee Peterson has done, and I can go on and on. And hell, I can name for y'all some of the black people who were liberals who flipped to the conservative side thinking they were going to cash in, and guess what? They even got exposed. Even conservatives were like, okay, yeah, some of y'all are frauds. Game, recognize game. And I just want y'all to understand that. Joining us right now, of course, is Teresa Lundy, Principal Founder of TML Communications, Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, political analyst, as well as Mustafa Santiago Ali, former Senior Advisor, Environmental Justice, EPA. See, initially I was not going to talk about this, but I need to talk about this because, again, I think, and what happens is, and I get it, with that crowd, how they responded, and people sitting here, they were jumping up, and they were talking about what went on. But I need them to understand what the game is, because I'll show you. I'm going to advance it here, and after T.I. made his comment, go to my iPad. I want y'all just to watch the crowd.
It's a fact. Why are you doing a fact?
Because you're making light of.
No, I'm not.
You're making light
I
of
haven't
the
gotten into my
enslavement
points. I'm not
of
making
people that look like us. You can't make light of that. That ain't nothing you
I haven't
breeze
even
over.
finished the sentence. How am I making
You
light of
started
anything?
with some bullshit.
Okay.
Teresa, that's what they want. They want the show. And they want to be able to go back to their white conservative friends. See, we went into the enemy territory, and you saw how we got treated and how the audience were all against us. This is a game. They are not serious about the black community.
I think it's two parts to that. I think that entire Revolt Summit, because I also watched it, right? And I think and I'm glad you started off with that commentary because it was so important. Because when we start talking about what makes sense for the black agenda and black America, and for those who really don't understand what politics or government actually looks like outside of listening to T.I.'s lyrics or Killer Mike, and they're just, listening to the impoverished lyrics, but they're not listening to some of the elected leaders who are coming forth with legislation and different plans. I think more so this panel should have more so touched on the entire detrimental facts that affects black people, right? Because a lot of people don't know, some of those cause and effects. And if they did, I do believe the conversations will be greater, and a woman like Candace Owens wouldn't be able to go to a Revolt Summit and say, well, I can't really talk about what Trump did because...
No, they can't. I mean, they can't, Mustafa, they can't talk about the environmental dangers. You can't talk about how he's destroyed the USDA. You can't talk about the scientists who have left. And again, let me be clear. I'm not criticizing the summit. Revolt should be doing it. I'm not even criticizing having the conversation. What I'm saying is, because let me also be clear. Y'all heard me say on this show, we as black people have to have alliances among black conservatives, because if you have, in the case right now, Dems control the House, Republicans control the Senate, all right? The reality is, in a moment, I'm going to be talking with Congresswoman Alma Adams, who is the co-founder of the HBCU caucus, who is the co-chair of that with the Republican in North Carolina, whose wife is a graduate of Winston-Salem State. So let me be real clear. In states across this country, Republicans control the governor's mansion, the House, and the Senate. Black folks, we are constituents. We need to be having relationships on that side, because there are going to be issues where we do agree, or we have to work with folks on the other aisle. What I am saying is there are a host of real black conservatives in this country who actually talk to black people, who actually sit with black people, but you have like these two, they don't talk with black people. Okay? They're not trying to actually, how do we find common ground with black people? Their whole deal is how loud and wild can I be in trumpeting Trump to get folks all mad and excited, and then go back to their safe white spaces and say, ooh, see what happened when we went there? They're not serious, actually, about our community.
Exactly. I've worked with black conservatives on policy, those who are serious. So you've got that set of folks, but you also have a set of folks that we're talking about who invest in and who support buffoonery. And they like these types of things because it takes people away from the actual impacts that are happening inside of their lives. They want a reaction from you. So imagine if that sister said whatever she was trying to say, and folks were educated in the audience. There probably were educated people who were there.
Absolutely.
But if folks understood the basic, the top 5 or 7 things you need to know around housing, around transportation, around the fact of unemployment. So it's always interesting when we talk about this full employment, but then when you unpack that and you see the types of jobs that your people are actually getting and that they've got to work 2 or sometimes 3 jobs just to make it to the basic lines, it changes the dynamic of that conversation. And that's where we have to get to. I appreciate the fact that you are always talking about folks need to get educated so that when you utilize your vote, it can actually be directed in a positive place that can make change happen. So that's why I don't even get down. You know, people will sell their souls for a few shillings. We've heard that, you know, growing up. And this is just another reflection of how they continue to do that.
Again, what you're dealing with here is you're dealing with the show. Mm-hmm. The show is one thing. Serious things, Avis, is another. Mm-hmm. And there are black women who I'm sure in the Black Women's Roundtable y'all work with who are black conservatives.
Absolutely.
Who are real on policy. Mm-hmm. These two are not real.
No. And these types of incidents expose that greatly. I mean, I would have been interested. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I've only seen this clip a few times. I would be interested, did she ever answer that question? Because even where she was going with that partial answer didn't make sense in that, yes, you have this transatlantic slave trade that encompassed a lot of the Caribbean, North America, South America. But guess what? America was one of the last, if not the last, nation to end slavery. So I don't even understand why she's going in that direction.
And our form was a lot different from other people as well.
Very different in terms of, you know, it was maternally passed down from generation to generation. Our form of slavery was unique and distinctive and especially brutal. And so I don't even know where she didn't even know where she was going with that answer. That was no example of America being great. Let's just put that on the table. Yeah. So, you know, I would just be interested in knowing where she would have ended up with that. It shows her ignorance. But at the end of the day, what you're saying is absolutely true. This is about her being able to get clips like this that go viral so that she can go back to the white folks who are paying her to say, look what I did, now give me some more money. Right. Because that's really what it's about.
And again, I want the audience to understand, those of us who have covered these stories for years, we know the game. Y'all, we can see them coming. I'm telling you, I've debated them who will pull you to the side and essentially say, let's take this thing on the road. Because it's all for a money grab. As opposed to those of us who are real about this, who are going, yo, I'm not trying to sit here and roll with you, because that's the deal. And in fact, that's actually the minstrel show. All right? That's why I call out Diamond and Silk. That's a minstrel show. When you see the comedian Terrence Williams, that's a minstrel show. That's not about policy. It's a C.J. Pearson running his little mouth. Same thing, okay? What you're dealing with is you're not dealing with people who are serious, all right? There are black conservatives who I know, who I've interviewed, who I've covered, who are involved in education, who are involved in housing in different areas. And we might disagree on things, and they abhor voter suppression and some of the things that they do. You want to talk about somebody like Black Republican? Michael Steele's been on this show and talked about how he got treated when he was chairman of the Republican National Committee, where they literally had a meeting in Speaker Boehner's office and told him, look, we don't need you talking policy. We got that. You don't focus on policy. He's like, wait a minute, what the hell? I'm the chair of the Republican National Committee. Did you tell the last chair don't discuss policy? It literally told Michael Steele, look, just go on over here, we got this. And then try to change the rules where he couldn't spend he had to get permission to spend money over $5,000. Wow. Oh yeah, Michael told me. So in fact, y'all, they were so foul in 2012 at the Republican National Convention in Tampa, Reince Priebus, they had an event honoring previous Republican National Committee chairs and didn't even invite Michael Steele. Wow. Didn't even give him credentials to the convention. He had to get his credentials through MSNBC. Just so y'all understand.
Wow. And she talking about plantation.
Just so y'all understand.
Wow.
So what I'm trying to explain to y'all is, again, when you see people like this here, it's all about the show. Now, you might say, well, Roland, why would you want to debate Candace Owens? Because I believe you expose fraudulent folk at all times. Because see, when light hits darkness, darkness gets exposed. Y'all, they don't want real debates because they can't handle real conversation. They can't handle somebody who's going to be calm and not yelling and dropping facts on them and bringing real information. If they have to answer, no, what they desire is for us to play the game. So just so y'all understand that, the reality is, in this world, there are two political parties, Republicans and Democrats. The reality is, we as black people have to be working on black interests. And that might mean working with Democrats or working with Republicans. That might mean opposing Democrats and opposing Republicans. I'm not against Republicans. What I am are against buffoonery coming out of the black Republican side. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, you heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry, folks. A recent report by the New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market more than $340 billion. And we know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, that all changed with the 2018 Farm Bill, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S., creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all the plants. Folks, this is real simple, okay? And the folks at 420 Real Estate have a business model where they buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, there are hemp CBD landlords. You can get in on the action now. Of course, our folks at 420 Real Estate decided to do something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment level was $500. Now you can get in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200, up to $10,000, okay? This is a growth industry that is still growing. If you want to invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. All right, folks, it pretty much was a shit show today on Capitol Hill as Corey Lewandowski testified before the House committee dealing with the Mueller report. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, of course, one of the top Democrats on the committee, had opportunity to question him. And you can pretty much guess how the questioning went because it's not like Corey Lewandowski isn't a complete ass. So watch this.
Good morning, Mr. Lewandowski. I'm questioning you right now. Thank you. The president asked you, who had no role at all in the White House, to deliver that message to Attorney General Sessions. The president could have just picked up the phone himself at any time and called the Attorney General. The president also had a full staff of executive employees right down the hall. So this made me wonder, if the president thought what he was doing was legal, why didn't he just pick up the phone and call the Attorney General Sessions, or why not ask any member of his staff who worked right down the hall to deliver a message? It is clear to me that the reason he went to you, Mr. Lewandowski, is because everyone said no. So I want to ask you about that. 2 days before meeting you, the president had called White House counsel McGahn at home on a Saturday to fire the special counsel, saying, and you can see that on the screen, Mueller has to go. Call me back when you do it. Plain and simple. But McGahn refused. When the president asked you to deliver that message, did he, the president, tell you that 2 days before your meeting, his White House counsel had refused to fire the special counsel? Volume 1186 is where you'll find that language. Volume 2. When the president asked you, did you hear the question?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, Congresswoman?
When the president asked you to deliver that message, did he, the president, tell you that 2 days before your meeting, his White House counsel had refused to fire the special counsel?
The White House has directed me that I not disclose the substance of any conversations with the president.
You are not allowed to answer whether the president told you he called his counsel at home on Saturday to remove the special counsel, and his counsel said no. The president had also personally called Sessions at home and asked him to unrecuse himself and oversee the special counsel's investigation, and Sessions said no. When the president asked you to deliver his message to Sessions, did the president tell you that Sessions had already said no, volume 2, page 107?
Again, Congresswoman, I recognize that the privilege is not mine, but I've been asked by the White House to... Congresswoman, I'd be happy to answer your question, or you can just have a conversation by yourself. But if you'd like to ask me a question, I'll be happy to answer
I'm going to continue. The reason is
well, then don't ask me a question if you don't want to hear my answer.
I'm reclaiming my time. This is a House judiciary, not a House party.
So if you ask me a question, give me the opportunity to answer your question.
The very campaign the special counsel is investigating. I'd like my time restored, please, of his interruption.
The gentlelady controls the time.
So he was a witness to the special counsel's investigation. For that reason, Sessions said publicly that federal law prohibited his involvement in the special counsel's investigation. Here's a quote from the report from volume 2, pages 49 to 50, which is on the screen. You can read that. Yes or no? Did the president tell you that the attorney general was legally not allowed to take any part in the special counsel's investigation when he asked you to deliver him a note about that very investigation? Did the president tell you that?
What you've just read is not on the screen, Congresswoman.
You need to look at the screen.
There it is.
Yes or no? Read the screen.
You're welcome to read it, Congresswoman.
You're welcome to be stalling, and I'm not going to stall. You either answer the question yes or no.
Congressman, I'll take the same privileges that you've had other members.
Tell you that nobody at the White House was supposed to even contact the Attorney General about the investigation? That you can answer yes or no.
I will not disclose any conversations I've had with the president, Congresswoman.
Again, you are obviously here to block any reasonable inquiry into the truth or not of this administration. The White House counsel, quote, shortly after Sessions announced his recusal, directed that Sessions should not be contacted about the special counsel investigation. In fact, the White House counsel's internal notes state no contact with Sessions and no communication serious about instruction. Can you read that? I just said it. Can you read that? Did you hear me?
Yes, is there a question?
Yes. Did the president tell you his White House counsel told him no contact with Sessions because of serious concerns of obstruction when he asked you to deliver a message to Sessions?
I am respecting the executive branch privilege of confidentiality, and I will recognize that this time.
Let me just say that did you know the president was putting you at risk when he asked you to deliver a message to the Attorney General? I want to be very clear. The president knew what he was doing was wrong because everyone else had already said no. He called his White House counsel to fire the special counsel. McGahn said no. He called the Attorney General to ask him to unrecuse himself from the special counsel's investigation. Sessions said no. His White House counsel said there should be no contact with Sessions because of his recusal. So what does the president do? He calls you in to do what everyone else wouldn't do. He called you in to do his dirty work in secret because he knew it was wrong. Well, we will expose the truth. The president cannot hide behind you any longer. And you should be here to be telling the truth, because the truth will set you free and the American people. I yield back.
The time of the gentlelady has expired. The witness may answer the question.
I don't believe there was a question, Congressman.
Very well.
Yes, there was.
Could you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
I'll be happy to repeat the
question. It's just a rant.
You can't repeat the question.
I'll be happy to repeat the question.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman from...
Did you know the Attorney General had recused?
The gentleman from...
All right, let's go to our panel. Joseph Williams, Senior Editor, U.S. News and World Report. We have, of course, Kelly Bethea, Communications Strategist, Malik Abdul, Republican Strategist. Joseph, how in the hell can the White House assert executive privilege for somebody who never worked for the White House or the American people? What Donald Trump is doing is beyond shameful to suggest that you can exert or assert executive privilege, not only people who still work there, but folks who used to work there, and for folks who've never worked there.
It's ridiculous. I mean, there's no legal justification for what he did or what he was saying, but this has been their game plan all along. I mean, anybody who's remotely connected to Donald Trump since the campaign or before the campaign, when they come to testify, they execute the same game. They don't want to say anything. They dare the committee to hold them in contempt and dare the legal process to start, which basically is stalling in a way.
Kelly, this committee should hold him in contempt and throw his ass in jail.
I don't see why that didn't happen on the spot, because all the pieces were there in order to do so. He flat out refused to answer the Congresswoman's question. There were no grounds for him to not answer the Congresswoman's question. So in my head, and in common sense's head, rather, you know, this was contempt. Like, he was in contempt of of the panel of the committee. So I don't understand how he's not in jail right now. I don't understand how he even thought that executive privilege extended to somebody who's not an executive. You know, I mean, it's very, very common sense. It's not complicated stuff. If anything, he's making it more complicated by, you know, going back and forth with a congresswoman. So the fact that he's free right now is just ridiculous.
So Malik, was your boy Trump think he above the law, that he can tell somebody, how do you assert executive privilege when you never worked for the White House?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for that, but I can speak to the fact that this was pretty much backfired on Democrats.
No. I asked you a question.
Well, I don't know.
No. You don't know? First of all, executive.
Well, I don't work. I don't work for him.
Malik. Executive privilege. You can apply that when somebody is working for you at the White House.
Yeah.
Corey Lewandowski never worked at the White House.
That's absolutely
And
true.
so it doesn't offend you that Donald Trump is trying to operate above the law. He wants to deny Congress its duty to properly investigate the executive branch when you got 3 branches of government. It doesn't offend you?
Well, I'm pretty sure that whatever it is that Congress can do to remedy that, they're going to do it.
No, that's not what I asked you. What I asked you is, does it offend you that the guy who you voted for and plan to vote for again believes that he is above the law and that he is actually spitting on the Constitution and making things up to say you can't testify, to send White House lawyers to sit behind Corey Lewandowski when he never even worked for the White House?
Well, from what I've been hearing all day, there seems to be some discussions on whether or not he's actually allowed to do that. But
no, that's not allowed to do what?
He's not allowed to do that.
Well, but he did. So,
okay, let me flip it. Let me flip it. If a Democrat president chose to flout the law and to assert executive privilege where there is none, would that offend you?
Probably not.
It wouldn't offend you?
Probably not.
Malik, that's bull.
Well, you asked me the question.
Malik,
so either you're going to answer
are you trying
for me,
to? So you're saying you're perfectly fine.
I'm giving you the answer that you asked
So
me.
you're perfectly fine.
It's not a matter of me being perfectly fine.
It wouldn't bother you?
You said whether or not it would offend me.
Would it bother you?
And I would say probably not. Would
it bother you?
Maybe.
Would it concern you?
Maybe.
So it's not big a deal to break the law? To flout the law?
Well, either you're going to...
Do you believe the president is above the law?
No, I don't believe the president is above the law.
So what is this?
Not. But I've seen a lot of these things in politics in general, where politicians or even presidents do things that people question.
Hold on.
So
show me an example where the president of the United States has asserted executive privilege for individuals who did not work for the White House.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
No, but you just said I've seen these things.
Well, I said I've seen these things, meaning presidents flaunting laws to their advantage or what have you.
Okay, but this is the case where
I answered that question. You asked me whether or not if there were a Democrat in office. You asked me would I be offended, and I said yeah, and I said probably not, because that's actually how I feel. Now,
so you're perfectly fine with it?
And then you followed up and said, well, would it bother you? And I said, well, probably so. So it's either going to be if it bothers me.
Hold on. But that's probably slow.
Well, probably so was something that we don't know. That's a hypothetical.
Probably so is not it bothers me.
Okay, but it's still a hypothetical.
Probably so means
but it's still a hypothetical. And so for all of well, your question was a hypothetical, was it not?
Okay, so are you bothered? Are you concerned? Are you?
Yeah, that concerns me.
But
you asked me whether or not I was offended.
Let me finish. Are you bothered, concerned, or offended that a president of the United States, in this case, Donald Trump, would flout the law and would literally say, you don't say a word when he never worked for the White House?
Sure. Absolutely.
Joseph, this is a trip. The so-called party of law and order don't give a damn about law and order.
Oh, okay, so I didn't just say that it would bother me.
Hold on, but you switched. So which one is it now?
Well,
you asked
you asked me whether or not it would offend me, and I said no.
But
you asked me whether or not it bothered me or something. I said maybe.
So now it does?
Well, you just asked me that, and I just answered that.
And
I said, sure.
You've actually
given in fact, I said that, sure. But anyway, for any of us to sit on the set and be surprised that a witness didn't answer questions, come on. This is all of these hearings are pretty much political theater, and we know that.
But I think there's a difference, though, right? I mean, the difference is not in not answering questions. That's You're absolutely right. That happens fairly frequently.
Right.
But the difference is in exerting a privilege that doesn't exist.
Maybe not.
I mean, that does not
maybe
exist.
not.
It
doesn't.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
Well, it did today.
Well, it did because
No, it didn't.
Well, it didn't answer the question.
You're sort of like saying, hey, the Detroit Lions won a Super Bowl. Maybe they did. They didn't.
Well, you asked me whether or not it would bother me, and I said,
No, I mean, like, but it's like when you say, maybe, maybe not.
and I said, sure. That's exactly what I said. I said, sure. So I understand you don't like that answer, but you asked me and I gave you that answer. But as you said, the fact that someone didn't answer questions under testimony in a congressional hearing, all of this stuff is political.
Kelly, this is what you have.
We know that it's political.
What you have is an absolute lying president who obstructed justice, who literally ordered Corey Lewandowski to fire the attorney general as if he somehow has the authority. When you had White House lawyers, Don McGahn, saying that is obstruction of justice, now you have a president further obstructing justice by ordering people or asserting executive privilege that doesn't exist because he wants to stymie Congress from doing its job. He acts as if that there are not three branches of the government.
But even with all of that, I'm still concerned with how Congress handled this hearing today because they still have tools at their disposal to punish those who are doing these things. If not the president, because we do have the policy that the president can't be, incarcerated while he's president or something like that.
It's a policy.
Right, it is a policy.
A memo.
It's an
no, it's not policy.
It's a memo.
No, there's a legal memo that was written in a Department of Justice to protect a thuggish president named Richard Nixon.
Right.
That's sort of like having my jail cell my jail cell inmate write a letter on my behalf, both of us in prison.
No,
okay?
I got you.
I mean, I just find it offensive that they're still following a legal memo written by an attorney, by a DOJ, to protect a criminal president again.
I got that. There's no disputing that. What I'm saying is, considering that they are following it, that's what we got right now. But that's still the executive branch. We still have a legislative branch that has tools at their disposal to punish those in the executive branch doing the wrong thing. And for whatever reason,
should have cuffed his ass.
They're just not doing it.
And they didn't.
They didn't do it.
And they had
everything at their disposal just today. We're not even talking about the Mueller hearing or anything else, anything that has been on any other investigative panel. Just today, he could have gone to jail based off of what the legislative branch can do. And he didn't go for whatever reason. I mean, we do have to blame the Democrats for that because they're the majority right now. So, as someone who is a progressive, I can call him out on that because that's ridiculous. Like, you're letting criminals go. And for what? Like, there's no rationale behind that.
What we're dealing with here, folks, is a lying administration. First of all, a president who lies about lies. I mean, that's what gets me. I mean, not just lie, but he'll lie about a lie. And then asserting this privilege, this is where Democrats should be tough. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, if Obama tried any of this, oh my God, Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan and all the Republicans would be Sean Hannity, Lou Dobbs, Laura Ingraham. They would have lost their ever-loving minds. They would have called for their gun-toting, NRA-loving people to descend on the White House and try to drag Obama out of the White House.
And Democrats probably would have had my position.
Actually, no. See, that's the difference between Republicans and Democrats.
No, it's all political.
No, the reality is, because I'll tell you, Democrats ran out a senator accused of sexual harassment.
On mere allegations.
On a mere allegation. Forced him to resign. Your party.
Who?
Al Franken.
Al Franken.
No, and I'm saying, who are you saying that's been accused of sexual misconduct who's still in office?
It's not.
Okay, first of all, remember the boy from Texas, Blank Farrenhole, who stuck around for a long time?
I don't even remember him.
You don't remember him? Okay, gotcha.
No, the name doesn't. I don't know the name.
Remember the guy called Senator David Vitter? Guy who was busted, his name was in the phone book, of the
before or after the Me Too era?
The Washington
Was this
DC matter?
Or this
No,
before
what
or
I'm saying
after
is
Me Too?
he served out his term.
Right, but I'm saying, was this before or
He
after
served-
Me Too?
But
Because
the
I think
Me
Me
Too-
Too kind of changed the dynamic.
No, not on the Republican side.
Well, that's the only reason that Franklin was out, because of what we were going through.
No.
The whole Me
What
Too
I'm telling you
era.
is Democrats have done a much different job of holding their own accountable than your party.
Well, I don't.
Y'all let it ride because you ain't trying to lose no vote.
Well, again, I think the Me Too era changed the dynamic of how we look at those things.
Now, on the Republican side,
and that's something that.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Mark Foley was a pretty big deal. Mark Foley, the congressman from the senator from Minnesota.
Mark Foley, Republican.
No,
Florida.
Republican. He was from Florida, but I'm talking about the guy in the airport from Minnesota.
No, he was the guy in the airport from Idaho.
No, he's from Minnesota. There was like.
Hell, that's two.
Yeah. Well,
That's
but I mean,
two
but they both, the allegations kind of surfaced. They lingered. I mean, even the speaker, Dennis Hastert. Dennis Hastert was a big one. Jim Jordan's another one. He's still around.
Jim Jordan has been a key. Jim Jordan.
I don't think.
Jim Jordan.
Difference.
Hold on,
between being
Ohio
accused of
Republican
something.
Jim Jordan. Hold
There's a
on, I
difference
just
between
told
being
you.
accused of something. And even in Frankenstein,
But wait a minute.
you actually have pictures of him with his hands going towards a woman's breast.
There were allegations on Foley. There were text messages, and in Jim Jordan.
But again, I think that was
on
Foley.
record.
Here's my whole point.
Before or after Me Too, though?
But Foley eventually resigned. But
was that before or after Me Too?
Before. But the point is.
But I think that matters. The time period that we're talking about.
Juncture. I mean, no, I don't think so. Because at this juncture, we are talking about several Republican members of Congress.
And ain't done nothing.
Well, Bill Clinton was in office, if we want to talk about it.
And Bill Clinton got impeached.
But he was still in office,
but
though.
he got
But he got impeached for lying. But he got impeached for lying, not for the accusation.
Believe no damn well Republicans don't hold their own accountable.
And Roland,
and we all know that. I'll be back.
Just where Roland
y'all know doggone well, the reality is Republicans, as long as they can hold them votes, they're going to hold on to it. The so-called party of family values, the so-called party of law and order, as long as they can stay in power, that's what they're going to do. Bottom line is, Lewandowski should have thrown his ass in jail for contempt for lying. That's what he should have done.
Lock him up.
Absolutely lock his ass up. Your party believes in law and order.
Lock him up.
Sure enough. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, that's my homeboy there, Gerald Albright, one of the folks performing at the Life Lux Jazz Experience in Cabo, November 7th through 11th. I'm going to be there as well. Weekend-long event held at the Omnia Day Club in Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez in Los Cabos, Mexico. Folks, it's going to be an amazing time over those 4 days. We're going to have lots of great food and drink and golf and spa, health and wellness, you name it. The second annual Life Love Jazz Experience. Of course, some great people, entertainers are going to be there. Comedian Mark Curry, Gerald Albright, Alex Bugnon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered for that Thursday and Friday there as well. And so we want you to be in the house. It's going to be a great time. Go to lifeluxjazz.com, lifeluxjazz.com for more information. Packages are going fast. You also want to book it soon so your airline tickets are not crazy high. So go to lifeluxjazz.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. All right, folks, today I was on Instagram and my man Common posted this video that has gotten now more than, I'll double check. Last I checked, it was about 350,000. I think it's actually way higher than that. I saw the folks at Inside Edition, they picked it up as well. I posted on my page. And again, it's got now, 434,000 views on the Commons page. I reposted it. And man, it has just gone viral. And so here's the deal, okay? This couple, first of all, just play the video, and then we'll tell you exactly how this thing actually happened. Go.
Do you know if this world were mine? Yes, I do. Let's say, if this world were mine, I would place at your feet all that I own. You've been so good to me. If this world were mine, I'd give you the flowers, the birds and the bees, and it'd be your love beside me. That would be all I need if this world were mine. I'd give you anything. If this world were mine, I would place at your feet. Come on. With words untold, okay. You can have anything. Come on. If this world were mine, I'd give you each day so sunny and blue. And if you were beside me, I would give you that too. If this world were mine, don't be there. I give you anything. Oh, baby, you're my inspiration, and there's no hesitation when you want me. Honey, just call me. Oh, baby, I'll be your consolation. And there'll be no hesitation when I'm in your arms. When you believe me, oh, the way that you do.
Man, y'all cut it off. That wasn't all of it. No, Melly, stop.
Are you kidding me?
Hell no, we ain't trying to hear your ass singing.
No.
I ain't trying to hear y'all. I ain't trying to hear that right now. I ain't trying to hear it. Okay. In fact, I think y'all cut the end off when they just hit it.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Joining us right now. I'm gonna play it at the end of this interview. Take it to break. You're not gonna sing, Malik. Joining us right now is Cassandra Nelson and Donnell Cross. How y'all doing?
Hello. How are you?
Okay. I'm just trying to understand here. So y'all didn't know each other?
Not at all.
Okay.
I was shopping and I had my headphones on. I was humming something, and he was like, "She can sing."
So wait a minute. So hold up. So you were shopping at a Walmart where? Is it Columbia, South Carolina?
No,
Alpharetta,
actually,
Georgia.
at Alpharetta, Georgia, Windward Parkway.
Yeah.
Oh, so both of y'all live in Alpharetta, Georgia. I mean, in basically near Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay.
I live in
She lives there. I live in New Orleans now. I used to live there. I live in New Orleans. The bees.
So y'all happen to be in this Walmart, and Donnell, you hears her humming. She wasn't singing.
Right. She was humming the song. She was singing it low, and I was like, now I'm gonna tell you the story. I was going through a little breakup, so I was kind of depressed. So I had been drinking, and had a few too many. So I got the courage to walk over to her and say, if this world were mine, and she said she did. I didn't know she was going to do it that way. I didn't know she was going to work it out.
So all of a sudden, you ask her, do you know the song? She like, yeah. I guess in the video you said, let's sing it. Or did you say, I want to hear it?
Hey.
No, I said, let's sing it together.
So he starts singing, and Cassandra, look on your face like, okay, all right, let me show you something.
Exactly.
I want to tell you, this is a humble woman. This woman is humble. From the time that I've been speaking with her, she's very humble. I'm very happy this happened for her and I.
But what was so crazy? What was so crazy is that first of all, as y'all are singing, y'all in the Walmart, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Do y'all remember what section of the aisle y'all on?
No, I don't.
It was near the vegetables were on my side. On his side was the ketchups and stuff like that.
It was.
I don't know which aisle it was.
So y'all start singing it, and then all of a sudden, we see in the background people are coming. Danae, behind you are the people watching y'all like, what are they doing?
There was more people behind me than it was in front of us.
And so now y'all got this audience, y'all singing a cappella, and so Cassandra, he starts singing, then you start getting into it.
Hey, whenever I sing, I'm always into it. That's what I do. That's how I am.
Now, Danelle, first of all, either one of y'all, do y'all sing professionally?
No. I mean, I've done, different things. I've sung on the Apollo and one. I've done different here and there, do weddings and, but I'm a maintenance man. I fix air conditioners all day.
You fix air conditioners all day. And Cassandra, what do you do?
I am a claims examiner, workers' comp. But I have done background singing for different gospel artists. My dad, Reverend Norris Turner, was a preacher and a gospel singer, and he has 6 albums. So I've been singing all my life. But as far as professional on my own, no.
Okay.
With your help, we're going to get there, though, right, Roland?
No, because first of all, I mean, let me tell you something. So Common posted this morning, and when I saw it, it was up for about 5 hours from when he posted it. And then all of a sudden, that thing just grew and grew. It's now more than 400,000. And then I put on Facebook and Twitter saying, "Yo, black people, do what y'all do. Find out who these 2 black people are." Right. Then I saw the 2 of y'all comment on a comments page. So first, Danelle, how did you find out that it was posted on Commons page?
Someone told me this. A friend of mine told me this morning while I was getting ready for work, and then Cassandra had hit me up and told me that it was there, and that she was excited, and we were riding to work. And the guy that actually posted it, my boy Craig Reese, Cassandra and I called him, and the 3 of us just had a melee this morning going to work.
So Cassandra, how did you find out Common had posted it?
Well, I found out from my good friend Shanisha Watkins. She texted me and she was like, "Girl, Common just posted your video." And I'm like, "Nah." So I went to Instagram and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," So and then I contacted Donnell and I was like, "Okay, you ready? Because we going somewhere."
So y'all, Donnell, at the end of the video, you had asked for a number. Your boy said he was going to send her the video. And so now, of course, you got some bros who said, yeah, Donnell was being slick. At the end, he was like, "Why don't you go ahead and slide me your number?" So, black folks would comment on everything like that. And so, first of all, how long ago did this happen?
This happened in February or March of 2018. It happened a year ago.
Yeah.
And
this was last year?
Yes.
Huh?
This was last year?
Last year.
And it just picked up and just soared. Now, the thing about it is my grandmother raised a gentleman. Miss Alberta Ross raised a gentleman. I'm not going to just walk up to a lady and be rude and, it's rude to me. But I'm very much, very much a gentleman, Right, Brittany? Right, Roger? Adriana?
So who are all those people?
Those are my guys that I work with. They was like, "You better shout us out." So I said, "All right, I'm going to give it a shout."
So, I mean, and again, this happened in March of last year.
Yes, sir.
Did y'all get together and sing somewhere else?
No. Haven't talked to Donnell
We haven't seen each other.
Haven't talked to him since until all of this blew up.
Now, I saw, Cassandra, you posted on your Instagram page, Inside Edition saw this, and they actually ran a clip of y'all singing.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Wow.
Robin Meade did it on HLN in the morning.
Yeah, Morning Express.
Wow, that's how fast this thing has blown up. And so, Cassandra, you first. What has your day been like since Common posted this? The rest of us picked up on it.
My gosh, it has been. I really didn't get anything done at work today. I'll just say it like that. Because I'm like, every minute, my phone has just been blowing completely up. My daughters, Briella, Kimberly, and Kiana, they are ecstatic. So, of course, my daughter, who's almost an attorney, she's probably going to get me for saying this. But anyway, she said, okay, we got to do some things. Let's do this. And so I have a daughter who's a fashion stylist. She said, okay, Mom, let me style you. Let's do this. So yeah, they're ecstatic. And my day has been crazy. Since this thing has blown up, it's been crazy. But I give all, everything to God, because it's all in his timing. And my frat brother, Roland Martin, with your help, we're gonna go somewhere, right?
Absolutely. Danelle, how's your day been like?
Oh man, I didn't get anything done. I tried, but my phone was going off as well. My niece, Latriva Cross, and my sister Phyllis Thurston, and all my family, they're going ecstatic over it. I'm numb because my sister's been praying for this for me since we were children, and she sings too. Matter of fact, my whole family sings. So basically, they're like, "Oh my God, this is just too much." I don't know what to say, Roland. I promise you.
First of all, Danelle, you got if you actually shave and you got the look and sound like BB Winans.
Oh, no, that's what I sung. When I found you. I found I got to think of the words, but but my favorite is Luther Vandross.
Kelly, you got a question?
No, I'm just in awe, and I just loved everything about the clip, and I just hope that it goes somewhere far. Like, I don't want this to just be a viral moment. I want like careers made out of this.
Well, okay, so. Okay, I'm gonna say this in a minute. Joseph, you got it?
Yeah, that was my question. Your phone's been blowing up. Who has called you? Has anybody reached out to you and say, hey, y'all could make a really great act?
No one. Roland, you're the first. You're the first one that have asked us to be on a show. And I want to thank you for that. And yes, we want it to go somewhere. We don't just want it to be a viral moment. We've been singing. I have been singing all my life, and that's what I wanted. My dad wanted for me. Me and my sister, she sings as well, and we're just ready to go and do this.
Malik, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is that and to explain this to people kind of outside the community of why this is so touching is that for so many of us, we heard our mothers, aunts, uncles. So many of us actually heard these songs growing up, and especially we're talking about Luther Vandross. So we have our own Luther and Tommy Terrell here. And so I just want to say that, this is just pretty awesome. And the fact that you guys, are great singers, but this is a great moment. And especially in this political climate that we're in, even though this was a year ago, but to really see something like this and to hear you guys is so refreshing. And so I wish you the best. I absolutely wish you the best.
What we want to do, thank you so much. What we want to do is to bring R&B back. I mean,
all right.
R&B is, that's what we're born and raised on.
Some crooning we got going on.
My father sang with he started off with the Jive Five out of Brooklyn, New York, him and my uncle Richard Harris. And then you can look them up. They're on there. My sister sang with Hezekiah Walker, and the list goes on with the singing and all that. So I wish my mother was here to see this. I promise I do.
And I just want to say the next I'll put in a request for some Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack.
Yes.
Okay. Let's
sit down.
You ain't gotta wait.
So here's the deal. One, I want to definitely get you on this show. For all the folks who are watching, Danelle and Cassandra, they're going to be on the Tom Joyner Morning Show tomorrow at 7:15 a.m. Eastern. And I know Common had put out there that he wanted to know who y'all were. Have y'all heard from any of his people?
No, not that.
Right.
I haven't been back on the thing.
Well, I know Common personally. I got his number. He's actually overseas, and so we've hit him up. And so I'm gonna connect y'all with Common and his manager as well to holler at them. And then a couple other things. I did send an email to my buddies Robin Roberts, Michael Strahan, and George Stephanopoulos. So I'm gonna send them y'all information, try to get y'all on Good Morning America. And then
I'll be in New York this weekend.
Well, and then my other homeboy, of course, is Steve McKeever, Hidden Beach Records. And so I just sent Steve a text to see if he had heard y'all singing. And so I'm gonna connect with Steve as well. Of course, he was the first one to put Jill Scott out and some other folks.
I know.
We'll do that. And so again, it was just amazing. The fact that y'all don't even know each other, how this whole thing just happened. And it sort of reminds me of the brother who was singing in the train station, the subway station in New York. And then James Cordon put him on his CBS show. That brother's been touring across the country, things along those lines. And so before we let y'all go, y'all here, so we might as well. Now, granted, being together is different being on Skype, but y'all here, let's hear y'all sing the same song together.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's go.
If this world were mine, I would place at your feet all that I own. You've been so good to me. If this world were mine, I'd give you the flowers, the birds and the bees.
Come on.
And it'd be your love beside me. That would be all I need. If this world was mine, I'd give you anything.
If this world were mine, I would make you the king with wealth untold. You could have anything if this world were mine. I give you each day so sunny and blue. And if you wanted the moonlight, I'd give you that too. If this world were mine, I'd give you anything.
Oh, baby, you're my inspiration, and there's no hesitation.
Come on.
When you want me, honey, just call me.
Oh, baby, I'll be your consolation, and there'll be no hesitation when I'm in your arms.
Oh, the way that you do. Yeah. The way that
love me, boy.
Oh yeah, the way that you do.
Oh, the way that you
love me. Oh, every sky would be blue as long as you're loving me, baby. Oh, give me pretty loving, baby. Give me pretty loving, honey. Keep on loving me,
baby.
me the way you do.
The way you love me, baby.
No, and I don't want to let you go, let you go, wanna let you go, my love, love. You know, the world would be yours.
Oh, man. Woo!
Somebody call the law.
That is, as we say, y'all can't sing, y'all can sing. Well, it is, first of all, it's an amazing story. Oh, also, by the way, I also hit up my man at Walmart. I sent him the video. I said, y'all need to shout them out as well. And so I passed that on as well. Cassandra Nelson, Donnell Cross, I hope all of y'all dreams come true. Whatever I can do to make that possible, we'll make that connect. Thank you for, first of all, answering the Instagram post. Certainly appreciate that. And again, just an unbelievable, fabulous video. And I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you. And with your help, I'm sure they will. Thank you so much.
All right, Cassandra Nelson, Donnell Cross, we certainly appreciate it. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
All right, y'all know what time it is.
Is it crazy ass white folks time?
Is it crazy? Girl, no charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, girl.
Yeah, illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
All of you black English teachers out there, there's a job opening in Fort Worth, Texas. Georgia Clark, an English teacher in the Fort Worth Independent School District, she was the one who actually posted some social media comments telling Donald Trump, that's right, get rid of these illegals, including the ones in her classroom. Well, when the Washington Post publicized those particular tweets, let's just say it didn't sit well with the officials there in Fort Worth. Poor little Georgia, she out of a job today. I feel so sad, Eugene.
I don't.
Not.
I don't. You know, what makes it so much more egregious is that she's targeting kids, right? Kids that have no control over their lives. But look, you want to expel your racism, at least do it with somebody that can provide a fair fight to you. Don't do it to somebody that can't fight back. And so I think the school district did the right thing, fired her. I think her teacher's license should be permanently revoked. Same thing I feel about police officers that do similar things. You commit I think there should be a federal law, and I think every presidential candidate should take it up. Somebody commits a racist crime, they should have their professional license suspended or revoked permanently.
I couldn't agree with you more. This woman is amusing.
I keep saying, Julian, every time one of these white folks lose their mind, black folks should line up and apply for their jobs.
I agree with you, Roland. Even more than this woman does not know. She knows what these young people's ethnicity is. She doesn't know whether they're legal or not. So this whole notion of threatening Latinos with deportation, it is bullying. It's ridiculous, and she does not belong in the school system. But this is a tip of the iceberg. I was at a community college very recently in the Southwest, and actually a student told me that when she complained about the teacher's uneven application of a rule, the woman came back and said, I can have you deported. This was a kid. She was 19 years old. And because she said, this isn't fair, I would have you deported. So this is like the should I say Trump card? For a lot of people, when there are disputes with undocumented people, we really have to do something about that. We really have to tell folks, as Eugene says, if you do this nonsense, not only you out of a job, but we will shun you, we will mess with you, we will take you viral and all of that.
But Roland, this is where advocacy groups fail, as far as I'm concerned, and this is where like plaintiffs' attorneys that bring cases often fail. They get what looks like a remedy in that something happens to one person who we know did something so blatant that it required action. But what should be going on right now is that advocacy groups and PTAs and just mama and daddy on the street in that community need to be requiring from that entire school system that they go through sensitivity training, that they go through a reboot on their discrimination, anti-discrimination training, that they be required to go through the kind of non-disclosure agreements that are already supposed to be in place regarding information that they may or may not get about the students. And the reason advocates are important is because there may be parents who are afraid to speak because they are not here what we so-called illegal. There may be children who are here and they don't know what the status of their visa is, and that is not supposed to matter in the way you were treated. If this woman felt so comfortable that she was willing to tweet about that, that is a culture code for that system at that school. It is not about that one woman. So it may be a one bad apple, but I'm telling you, that's a rotten vine.
Roland, my comments were going to be about the system as well. So Monique pretty much broke that down in terms of, it's fine. I mean, who could have done it better? But I always wonder what will happen to these people who get fired because, like for example, the murderer of Tamir Rice got another gig. And the dude who back in the day who called black basketball players nappy-headed something, who was fired from that show, got another show. Now, about the time they get their new gig, the spotlight is off and they go on with their life and they do what they do because white people, particularly bad white people, have each other's back. And these bad white people are from the White House to the outhouse. So we don't know what's going to happen with these people.
Mostly the outhouse.
But I agree with Monique regarding that it's a systemic issue. But I also have to say, at the risk of sounding peculiar, is that I like when white people are straight up. Because some of them are very repressed and they behaviorally act out on our people and do damage that's more clandestine that we can't shine a spotlight on, and they continue where they are doing their damage and we don't know about it because there's no quote-unquote proof. When this woman put this stuff on Instagram, there was proof and people reacted. So, and also I just want to close it, I don't think that cultural sensitivity training works. So, and I might be a whole other conversation.
It is a whole other conversation.
I don't think because I used to be a police, and I remember cultural sensitivity.
You used to be a police.
Yeah.
A police.
I used to be a police.
You were a popo?
I was a popo. I was a sheriff. I was a deputy sheriff in East Los Angeles.
You used to be a police.
And
it did not work.
The cultural sensitivity stuff was superficial. It was playing into white people's issues, and I would have to see the curriculum.
And they do it. They do it holding their noses. I mean, you say you have to do, anti-bias training. They don't want to do it. They do it. They do it with their dragging their feet, and they mad, and the mouths are poked out, and then they say, "Okay, I did racial bias training, so I'm not racist anymore."
And they learn the code switch.
Do it, and then you have monitors shadowing in the classroom, and it has to be from a neighboring jurisdiction. There is a way to get this done that works. That's the same thing as with the police force. You have to cross-pollinate. You have to use federal resources, but it can get done. It can get cleaned up. We can't just lift our hands and say, "Well, throw." This whole school teacher system. So I mean,
but we can't do this add water and stir. We can't do this add water and stir.
Let's have. This is going to happen.
Yes.
But there needs to be more conversation about this because we don't have time to get into 7:10. We don't have time to get to the facts of me knowing that it don't work.
Roland is like, we really
But you can't do this add water and stir stuff about let's have cultural training without looking at what the roots of it are, who's doing it, what kind of work is being done. Not this kumbaya stuff of the blue eye, brown eye thing. Some of that stuff is so superficial. It's almost amusing.
We've officially had a show now that Julian has said kumbaya because it's going to work its way into the show.
Yeah. Are y'all done?
Look at Roland.
Are y'all done?
No. But the show has to end.
We're not done, but we probably finished, right?
Well, guess what? I'm here for a 50-can education reform group board meeting. Damn it. I'm late, so y'all can sit here in that studio and talk all y'all want to. And of course, it's not lost on me. We're discussing an English teacher getting fired, and Cleo said I was a police. So don't think I just totally missed that.
Well, even
so
the
that's how it goes.
said,
All right, folks. Today, New England, they have cut Antonio Brown, wide receiver for the New England Patriots. I said this when he did the video of John Gruden and recorded the phone call, that of the list of dumbass athletes, Antonio Brown is at the top of that list.
Got that right.
Antonio Brown has now cemented himself as the dumbest ass athlete ever. Because how is it that, first of all, a federal lawsuit is filed against you alleging sexual assault, but it's a federal lawsuit. She said this took place in 2017, 2018. She didn't go to the cops, okay? I don't understand why she didn't go to the cops, because if it was rape, statute of limitations still applies.
Right.
Second allegation comes out in Pittsburgh, okay? The Pittsburgh DA says they will investigate. Then the Pittsburgh DA comes out and says, statute of limitations, we can't investigate. So essentially, on the second allegation, Antonio Brown is in the clear, okay? Meaning there are no criminal investigations. The first lawsuit was a federal civil lawsuit. This dumbass, and I'm using dumbass for a very good reason. This dumbass decides to send a text message to the second accuser. Let me repeat that. He sends a text message, including a photo of the woman's family. Now, you know. Now, here's what's so crazy. His lawyer said, don't contact your accusers.
Criminal Justice 101.
Yeah. Let me say it again. His lawyer said, don't contact your accusers. Dumbass sends a text message. For the second day in a row, Bill Belichick gets hit with a ton of questions. He walks out of the news conference. You know, he went to his office and was like, cut his ass. But here's what's crazy. Antonio Brown literally lasted longer with the Patriots than Anthony Scaramucci did working for Trump. This is a guy, y'all. This is a guy. Let me help y'all out, okay? This is a guy who had $30 million guaranteed from the Raiders. Lost his damn mind. Lost his damn mind, okay? Lost his mind. Got himself cut. Then goes to the Patriots, gets signed within 48 hours. Gets $9 million guaranteed. Now, here's the problem, okay? The Patriots gave him the first 5 of the $9 million on Monday, but he ain't even met the full deadline. These were the text messages. Sports Illustrated posted this. He actually sent her this text. Go to my iPad. Really sad you would make up bullshit story to the world. Thought you had more integrity and respect for yourself. Must be really hard times to make up some stuff for money. Super sad. This the girl who unfinished my painting in my room from something. Super broke girl with a lot of kids. Such a shame. This her in text Eric B's. Let's look up her background history. See how broke this girl is from. Basically cried, broke for opportunities. I let paint my room. Couldn't finish. I flew out now to hear this. So sad. Okay, here's the first thing, y'all. There was no punctuation in that at all. I mean, that wasn't a period, a comma,
Run-on sentence?
question mark, an exclamation
Run-on
point.
sentence.
But, I mean, nothing, y'all. Nothing. But dumb. Y'all, money gone.
Uh-huh.
Talk about blowing $30 million. You ain't getting that $30 million back.
Nope.
I doubt a team signs him this year. I will be shocked. I'll be shocked if he gets signed next year because, see, when the Patriots say, I mean, the only other team that's likely to sign a head case is the sorry-ass Dallas Cowboys. No. They're known for signing head cases. Okay.
I'm scared you're going to say my team, but thank you for
Oh, hell no, because you got to have a quarterback to throw it to.
Right.
Y'all ain't got no quarterback.
Right.
But how dumb can you be? Chris, you a lawyer? if you tell a client, don't text the accusers, and the DA says, we will not be investigating this case, your dumb ass sent a text to the woman.
Yeah, see.
With a photo of her family.
Yeah, at that point, I'm done with you as a lawyer, because you a dumbass. Not only are you a dumbass, bruh.
Oh, hold on, my bad. He sent her a text message with 4 other phone numbers on it. So it was a group text.
Oh, my God.
And he encouraged others in the group to investigate the woman.
Lord. See, this is the kind of stuff that you look at brothers and you're like, really? You cannot be that stupid. But apparently, he is.
He should have let it go. At the point when he was no longer going to be investigated, that means you sit down, you get ready for this season, and you call it quits.
Yeah. Why
Keep it
are you
moving.
texting? Move on. Why are you texting? Now, you talking about broke. You the one now broke.
Hold up, Michael. He gets cut by the Patriots. Yesterday, Nike dropped him. The helmet deal he had after he acted a fool in Oakland, trying to wear a 10-year-old helmet.
Yeah.
He lost. He couldn't do that. So he got a new helmet. They signed a deal. They dropped him.
The sense to text, no sense to text. I'm sure he ain't got no sense to save that money.
That's about the dumbest.
Mr. Potato Head Award.
There you go.
It just makes you wonder what his end goal was. Because if you wanted to get to the Patriots, you wanted to get to this team that consistently goes to the Super Bowl, cool, whatever. He was willing to burn money to get there. But to get there and to not be able to actually play because of your own doing, it wasn't that Bill Belichick didn't want you. He's time and time again, he was going to ride that thing on out. But he made it extremely difficult.
And sent the text, now mind you, sent the text on Monday, y'all, this was Antonio Brown yesterday.
I played for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. You know, I got a lot of the offense to learn and catch up. But I'm excited and grateful to be here and to be a part of these guys.
Antonio, what's it been like working with Tom?
It's been a tremendous honor. He's been here a long time, a lot of details, a lot of work ethic. A great guy to be around and just inspire everyone here.
What's the process been to kind of get used to everything as everything's going on in your life?
Well, it's football. You know, I'm grateful to play football. Every time you walk in the doors here, you know, do your best for the team. So every time I walk in here, I just want to make sure that I'm preparing to keep these guys on my back.
Antonio, what have you heard from the league, if anything, about your availability moving forward?
I appreciate that question. You know, I'm just here to just focus on ball and look forward to getting out there in the home stadium and being with the team.
Thanks, everyone.
That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Why? Oh, because you're cut. You're gone. Okay.
Morality clause.
Y'all, he sent, and then, of course, he did have, so let me show you a series of tweets. First of all, this was sent on September 10th, 2019. Welcome to England. Grand opening, grand closing. This was what he tweeted 2 hours ago. Sometimes people try to destroy you precisely because they recognize your power, not because they don't see it, but because they see it and they don't want it to exist. Really? And you use a photo of Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah. There you
go. All right. And so then, y'all, he sent this out. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate Patriots. Well, at least it was grammatically correct. Tweet right there. And then, of course, let's see here. Just one more. If I'm lying, then I'm flying. Okay. All right. But you grounded right now. and then he sent another photo. Bill Belichick, thank you. All right. No job. Yeah, all I'm saying, y'all, you there are things that really drive me crazy. And what drives me crazy is when you're in the top, you're not even in the top 1%. You're literally in the top 0.001, whatever you want to come up with number of athletes.
Right.
There is no other way. Now, maybe if he wants to start a tech company, canvas company, whatever the hell, where you're going to have an opportunity to make $30 million playing the field. You've blown that.
Yeah,
you've blown more because you lost all the endorsement deals.
Yeah.
And it's just so illogical. And I would hope that young athletes need to understand that you can have crazy talent, but there's even a line when you got crazy talent.
Well, and the question becomes, who's advising him? Apparently nobody, or he's not taking the advice. And that's the thing that young athletes have to understand. You got to know the rules of the game. You have to know how this works. I don't care if you got a $100 million contract. The issue is the morality clause. And that morality clause, you lose everything, period. End of discussion.
I mean, I don't think I fundamentally believe if he did not send that text message,
well, and that's
he is not cut.
Right. He would have been absolutely fine. He was actually scheduled to play in the next game.
Yeah, but
it is very confusing to me that this was his move. Again, especially after he was never actually, there wasn't going to be a case pursued.
Right.
So it didn't make sense to send the text message. It would have made sense even if it was.
Get with your boys, pop a bottle of Cristal, talk trash among your group.
Right.
But you don't send her a series of text messages, Michael, with photos of her family and her children.
And look, even all the crazy talent you've talked about, arguably, I don't even know if it's arguable, maybe Julio Jones, whatever, arguably the best receiver in the league.
No, DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
Houston, go ahead.
Okay, I figured you say that. We don't have one of those. But, the black coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers said, and everybody said, oh man, it must be just personality, you're jealous. He said, I don't want to coach this clown. And everybody said, well, if it's not a brother standing up for him, maybe there is some issues. But no, nobody bought it. Gruden took him. We saw the drama with the helmet. Didn't want to show up. Then finally did. And then we obviously saw what happened today.
Yeah, he has some personality issues that are very real. And he doesn't take ownership of any of his own behavior. Right. And that's another problem. He's also not technically a young athlete. To even get the deals that he did, when you're in your 30s, you're rounding out your time anyway, for the most part.
I don't know if it's CTE. I don't know what the hell it is. But all I'm saying is, Antonio Brown, you done screwed up. All right, folks, let's do a deconstruction of the GOP. And, of course, the mouthpiece, Candace Owens. Today on Capitol Hill, there was a hearing that was titled House Oversight Joint Subcommittee Hearing on Confronting White Supremacy. They had 3 experts and 1 black person. When I say experts, they actually had real experts on the subject of white supremacy and white nationalism. Now, questions were asked by Republicans and Democrats of the 4 witnesses. Now, what I'm unpacking right here, and here's a piece, and let's just be real clear. Y'all remember what I said the other day about the Revolt Summit that took place, why I said it makes no sense to have a Candace Owens or Katrina Pearson on that panel. Why? Because they're not real black conservatives. Let me be real clear. They're not real black conservatives. I know real black conservatives, okay? Chris Metzler, real black conservative. Shermichael Singleton, real black conservative. Elroy Saylor, Angela Saylor, K. Cole James, Derek Holley, Robert Pignon. I can go on and on and on. I can name you numerous folks who I know personally, okay, who are real black conservatives. These 2, they're not. You know what they are? Charlatans. They're frauds. What they desire is attention. So what they do is they say crazy, provocative things solely for the purpose of getting that attention. Go to my iPad. Here's a perfect example, okay? I typed in House Panel on White Supremacy. These are the 2 headlines. You all see the 2 headlines? One from Yahoo News, one from The Hill. Candace Owens, the House panel, white supremacy and white nationalism is not a problem. The Hill, Candace Owens tells Congress white nationalism not a problem for minorities in the U.S. If you actually click on the Hill story, what you will see is you will see an article that only quotes Candace Owens. That, folks, is by design. That's exactly what she wants. What she desires is attention. She wants folks talking about her. It's a money grab. It's all about how can I build my following and convince these dumb, illiterate conservatives to keep throwing money at me and I can get paid. Now, Mark Lamont Hill was tweeting today, critical of something that she said, and this gentleman, Adam Badawi, tweeted back. Go to my iPad, please. This is what he said. I was there. She wasn't mentioned on the list of witnesses beforehand, nor was she receiving questions because she has literally no expertise on the subject. Later in the hearing, Republicans started ceding their time to her to let her spout. Do y'all hear me? So you had 3 real experts. What this guy's saying is they purposely kept her name off of the list. Why? Because the Republicans did not want today's hearing to be about white nationalism or white supremacy. What they desired is for Candace to come there, be a train wreck, completely take the focus off of the issue, attack Democrats, and bring up all these other issues for her that are more important than in Black America. If you want to laugh, here's her opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to testify. I want to testify just as a Black American today, and I want to first start off by saying that white supremacy is indeed real, but despite the media's obsessive coverage of
There. Matter of fact, roll that back. Roll that back. Y'all, she starts off by saying, I'm here as a Black person. So essentially what she's saying is, hell, if we're going to discuss white nationalism and white supremacy, anybody Black can come here and testify. You don't actually have to have any expertise to actually do that. No. Here are the people who were invited. First of all, one panelist is Kathleen Ballou, an expert from Stanford University. Another one is Joshua Getzler from Georgetown University. Katrina Mulligan, National Security and International Policy at the Center for American Progress. The fourth one is Candace Owens, college dropout. Play it again. You're going to hear her say what her expertise is on this subject.
Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to testify. I want to testify just as a Black American today, and I want to first start off by saying that white supremacy is indeed real, but despite the media's obsessive coverage of it, it represents an isolated, uncoordinated, and fringe occurrence within America. It's a fringe occurrence that is being used, in my opinion, by Democrats to scare Americans into giving up their votes to a party that can no longer win based on simple ideas, which is why we're seeing so many of these hearings back to back, despite other threats that are facing this nation. I want to reiterate that point.
Okay, yeah, it's an issue, but it's really not among the top issues. This is college dropout Candace Owens providing expert testimony on white nationalism and white supremacy. This, folks, is a hearing that took place in July where Christopher Wray, the director of the Federal Bureau for Investigation, testified about the serious threat about white nationalism and white supremacy in the United States. Press play.
Between the years 2000 and 2016, the white supremacists were responsible for more homicides than any other domestic extremism movement. Now, I see the distinction you're making, homegrown versus domestic. But let me ask you, can you quantify either one of them for us?
Well, in terms of number of arrests, we have, through the third quarter of this fiscal year, had about, give or take, 100 arrests in the international terrorism side, which includes the homegrown violent extremism.
This year?
This year. But we've also had just about the same number, again, don't quote me to the exact digit, on the domestic terrorism side. And I will say that a majority of the domestic terrorism cases that we've investigated are motivated by some version of what you might call white supremacist violence, but it includes other things as well. I think the greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violent extremist. I will say that
These
we
would be
take
foreign-inspired,
which is jihadist-inspired violence. That does not mean, by any stretch of the imagination, that we don't take domestic terrorism, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology, extremely seriously.
Okay, so I want to go back to the nonsense Candace was spewing. I want y'all to pick up where we left off, because I want to put this in proper perspective for you. That was the director of the FBI testifying to the Senate in July of this year. Go ahead and play Clueless Candace.
Is real, but neither of these ideologies are real in this room. They have become mechanisms for the left to continue to call these hearings and to distract from much bigger issues that are facing this country and which threaten minorities. Much bigger issues. Here is the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, in March, laying out the persistent and pervasive threat of white nationalism and white supremacy in the United States.
How would you describe the danger to public safety that is posed by white supremacist extremism? Is it changing in its qualities or in the kinds of resources that the FBI and other law enforcement agencies need to respond? And secondly, the second part to that question, your budget request does not mention white supremacist extremism at all. How much funding and how many employees are dedicated to investigating white nationalists and white supremacist extremists in your fiscal year 2020 budget? So what is the danger to the country, and what do you need to fight it?
Well, the danger, I think, of white supremacist violent extremism or any other kind of violent extremism is, of course, significant. We assess that it's a persistent, pervasive threat. We tackle it both through our joint terrorism task forces on the domestic terrorism side, as well as through our civil rights program on the criminal side through hate crime enforcement. I think as to whether I would see any significant difference or trend there, I think, or whether it's changing, I think I would say in general, domestic terrorism in this country has changed in the sense that it's less structured, less organized, fewer groups, more uncoordinated one-off individuals as opposed to some structured hierarchy. And that presents its own share of challenges.
Now, you might say, well, Roland, what was the whole point of Candace Owens being the only black person there testifying on this issue? This 44-second soundbite in the end will really explain it.
Issues that they are responsible. Number one, father absence. Number two, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high. Abortion ranks high. White supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce. And it is ironic that you're sitting here and you're having 3 Caucasian people testify and tell you what their expertise are. Do I know what my expertise are? Black in America. I've been black in America my whole life, all 30 years, and I can tell you that you guys have done the exact same thing every 4 years ahead of an election cycle, and it needs to stop.
No, stay with it.
Now we go to Mr. Clay for 5.
No, go back. That right there explains why the Republicans wanted Candace Owens to testify. Because the Republicans on this committee don't want to deal with white nationalism or white supremacy. What they desired is to have a black woman who loves Trump to come to the hearing to bring up problems in black America, to negate white supremacy, to negate white nationalism, and that's why he has that look that was captured on his face. You need to understand game recognizes game. Now, earlier we had Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, a member of this committee, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, Congresswoman Robin Kelly, and others on the Democratic side, members of this committee. If you want to understand what really happened, okay, this happened before that took place. Jim Jordan came in late. They were upset because the members of Congress were actually ignoring clueless Candace. They were asking more questions of the actual experts. Here is Jim Jordan.
I did walk in a few minutes ago, and Mr. Meadows and I were visiting in the back room, and noticed that Ms. Owens, you hadn't spoke for a while. So if there's something you'd like to add to the discussion over the last few minutes, I'd be happy to yield my 4 minutes to you and let you comment. But thank you again for your outstanding testimony, for being here as our witness today.
Come back.
Thank you for that.
See, I don't need to play any more of Candace Owens. What did he just say? Mark Meadows and I got together in the back room. We were like, damn, ain't nobody asking her no questions. When is the last time y'all saw a member of Congress give their entire time to a witness? They get 5 minutes each. Gave his time to her. Meadows gave his time to her. Y'all need to understand the game here. But I'm going to go back and play something for you. This is what Clueless Candace said as to what she thinks are the most important issues that impact black people.
Number one, father absence. Number two, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high, abortion ranks high, white supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce.
So here's the real issue here. The real issue is that this House hearing on white nationalism and white supremacy was really only limited to the issue of terror. Because if you wanted a real discussion about white supremacy, then the very issue that Candace wants to bring up, white supremacy, plays a role in that. Just the other day, the University of Texas, a story was done by The Atlantic, where they discovered in the archives of the University of Texas that they, by design, implemented standardized tests in the 1950s in order to keep black people out of the University of Texas. The president of the University of Texas literally said in a speech in Houston, the use of standardized tests was a way to keep the niggers out of the university. So, when a Candace Owens wants to talk about education and illiteracy, oh, we can have that conversation within the framework of white supremacy. They don't want to do that. If you want to talk about fathers not being in the home, I am more than happy in the year of the 400th anniversary of the first 29 Africans arriving on these shores to talk about the role that America, white supremacy, played in cutting babies out of the wombs of black mamas. If you want to talk about abortion, Candace, we can talk about America's abortion. If you want to talk about this whole issue of black fathers not being there, we can also bring up the studies that show that black men actually spend more time with their children than other races. If you want to talk about the issue of white supremacy on the impact of federal policy that gave more money to mothers who were in homes without fathers, because the policy then was that you only had one person bring in income and not the other, we can be more than willing to have that conversation. But see, that's a different level of white supremacy, because I don't think you really want to talk about that. She also mentioned, y'all, white supremacy and black-on-black crime. You want to talk about white supremacy and black-on-black crime? Sure. We can show you impacted areas in Chicago based upon federal housing guidelines that limited where black folks can live, where they could actually buy homes. And so all of a sudden you had in Chicago, west side of Chicago, south side of Chicago, black folks packed into areas. Same thing in Detroit and Houston and other places around the country. See, all those things were a result of white supremacy. And so if we want to have the real white supremacy conversation, you're right. It didn't happen on today's panel, but you also were not there, Clueless Candace, to have that conversation. The reason I need y'all to understand this is because some of y'all might be saying, well, why are you giving her so much attention? Because I need to explain to y'all what the game is. And here is the game. The game is for white Republicans to put up a black face to attack and trash Democrats, including black Democrats, and then to say, oh, but the conservative agenda is really what's great for black people. So what happens is that shit-eating grin Jim Jordan had is because that's what it's all about. It's all about, I need you to use the right talking points that's going to push them back. Remember the point where she said, oh, how dares it, you have 3 white experts and I'm the only black person here? Because you're not an expert. And in fact, I really don't have a problem if there are 3 white people there who are experts on white supremacy, because the operative word in white supremacy is white. So to have 3 white folks talk about white supremacy, I ain't got a problem with because they're also white. Y'all, Republicans don't really want to talk about this stuff. What they want to do is offer a game of mirrors. This is a house of cards. And so what they have done is take a black woman who they, oh my goodness, she's articulate, she's cute, she can speak to the issues. Somebody hears her, oh my goodness, white conservatives go, she's so smart. I mean, look at her, she's feisty, she's giving it to them. But they really don't want to break these things down. Why is that? Because they prefer the show. Candace Owens only wants a show, which is why she wants to debate John Legend and debate Don Cheadle and debate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and debate Ilhan Omar. That's what she wants. She wants the attention. And that's what they actually gave her. The Republicans did not want this to actually be a discussion on white supremacy and white nationalism and the impact. They don't want to have a discussion about Dylan Roof or the guy who went to the synagogue in Pittsburgh. They don't want to have a conversation about the white guy in El Paso. No, they would rather have a black woman who's not an expert, who's a college dropout, who loves to trash the NAACP, and then who, of course, got a $35,000 settlement from the Stanford, Connecticut School Board of Education because of insults that were hurled at her, which the NAACP actually helped her get. It's amazing how that happens. But again, if you want to understand game, I'm going to play this last soundbite for you, and it really is, for me, the most laughable of the day. This, folks, is a soundbite of a Republican in Congress, Congressman Keller, literally asking Candace Owens, what can I say to black people?
I'll be speaking at the NAACP annual state convention in Louisiana 1 week from tomorrow. Could be argued that I'm a quite unlikely keynote speaker at that gathering. But I shall deliver a candid and unscripted message from my heart and from bended knee as an American that recognizes that our nation has suffered a failure of spirit, that our nation is on a journey. I would ask you, madam, in my remaining time, what message would you hope to hear me deliver to my brothers and sisters in Louisiana 1 week from tomorrow? An address which I believe should be reflective of our effort as a nation to bridge the divides that falsely separate us, to embrace the fact that we're created in God's own image. What message would you have me share, good lady? And I shall listen.
That's a beautiful question. I would say if I was in that audience, what I would want to hear is just a message of hope. I think that what's been taken away from Black America is our sense of pride. We've allowed rhetoric and policies to tether us to the government. And I love that you opened your statement talking about God and the family, because those were the things that we used to value first and foremost in the Black American community. And as government grew in the 1960s, all of that was pretty much taken away from us. I would remind them to consider who...
I'm done. How about this, Congressman Keller? When you go before the NAACP, I would love for you to explain to them in Louisiana, why is it that your party supports voter suppression? I would love for you to explain to the NAACP why the Trump administration is rolling back civil rights in various departments in this nation. I would love for you to explain why the Republican Party chooses to be the prostitute of the NRA and not know anything about gun control. I would love for you to speak to the issue of economics and why is it that the Republican Party and Donald Trump is trying to get rid of the National Minority Supplier Development Council, which has been around for 50 years, which is the only federal agency that deals with how to grow businesses among minorities. I would love for you to talk about those issues. I noticed Candace didn't bring those issues up. Why? Because those are things Republicans are doing. Folks, you need to realize that the purpose of a Candace Owens is to give cover to white conservatives who have been wanting to say these things about black people for a very long time. That's the game. In fact, I just saw a tweet from a person who's a white conservative out of Texas, and then pull it up, Taylor Ham, covers sports for Texas A&M, And they have a soundbite here where he goes, I think this qualifies as a mic drop, where she ripped into this person here who's on the panel. What I need y'all to understand is that is the game. It is about a money game. And I will tell you this again. In our community, we've always had black Republicans. They've always existed. 4 and 5 and generations of black Republicans. I have known Alphonso Jackson, former Secretary of HUD, Mike Williams, who prosecuted white supremacists when he was in the Department of Justice. I know folks like Michael Steele. I named so many others, but there's a reason why they will not bring them to the fore. Because these are black people who actually work with black people. Candace doesn't. She wants a celebrity. And so when she's on the stage with T.I., on the stage with Killer Mike, that's exactly what she wants. Because it's about entertainment. It's the show. It's about securing the bag. There are black Republicans out there who actually care about black people. And we have a difference of opinion when it comes to political party. We might have a difference of opinion when it comes to what policies. But what I can say is I have respect for them because they actually care. And even if we disagree on certain issues, we agree on others. Game recognizes game. So today really wasn't about Candace. It was really about the embarrassment of the Republican Party, unwilling to deal with an issue like white supremacy and white nationalism. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, November 7th through 11th, we're going to be in Los Cabos, Mexico, for the Life Lux Jazz, the second annual Life Lux Jazz Experience. It's going to be phenomenal. We're going to have, of course, great music over 4 days, golf and spa. We're going to sit here and, man, you talk about food, you talk about libations, also known as liquor. It's going to be loads of fun. So while people are freezing in the Northeast, let's go hang out in Mexico. I'm going to be doing Roland Martin Unfiltered from there that Thursday and Friday in front of a studio audience. Y'all can all come join us. So come hang out with me and so many others. It's going to be absolutely great, of course. We're going to be at Day Club Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez. They're in Los Cabos. The great people we got lined up for you, folks. Amazing. Of course, comedian and actor Mark Curry. Of course, Gerald Albright, my frat brother, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madan, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band. We're going to have the gospel experience with Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, Ernest Quarles. Some new hotels have opened up. For more information, go to lifeluxjazz.com. That's lifeluxjazz.com, lifeluxejazz.com. You want to book it now, of course, to get your package, but also you want to have much cheaper airfare as well. And so, trust me, it's going to be an absolute fun time. I cannot wait to go, and trust me, you want to do it as well. lifeluxjazz.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. Now, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin, and don't forget to turn on your notifications. Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin, and don't forget to turn on your notifications.